A very good evening and welcome to the national broadcast. I'm Malsha Dharmavardhana.
A very good evening indeed. I'm Charita Minapurarachi, and now let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news.
The President offers solutions to unemployed graduates engaged in a protest. 10,000 more job opportunities for graduates. First session of the new Parliament begins tomorrow. The committee to look into irregularities in state banks. Minister Kehalia Rambukwella is the new cabinet spokesman. Minister Ramesh Pathirana and Uday Gambanpilla have been appointed as co-cabinet spokesmen. A sub-police inspector of the Special Task Force has been arrested in connection with his involvement in drug racketeering. His Holiness the Pope says that even the poor people of the world should become accessible to the corona vaccine to be manufactured anew.
On to those and other stories in detail now, starting with your local stories. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that it has been decided to provide employment opportunities to another batch of 10,000 graduates. He has disclosed this fact to a group of unemployed graduates who were engaged in a protest in front of the Presidential Secretariat today. It is the promise of the President to provide 50,000 jobs to unemployed graduates. Upon systematic calling of application, a list of names of 51,135 selected graduates were released recently. However, a group which was not included in this list was engaged in an agitation in front of the Presidential Secretary yesterday and today. They have requested the President to recruit themselves as well for jobs. The President, responding positively to their request, have arrived at the place of agitation this morning quite unexpectedly. The President had a discussion with the protesting graduates and they described the difficulty they face. President explained measures taken by his government to ensure the government job opportunities for the unemployed graduates. At the same time, President mentioned special concession will be provided for those who have problems in applying jobs under new schemes. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa reiterated that during today's cabinet meeting, a proposal to provide 10,000 job opportunities for unemployed graduates was approved. Then the President asked the protesters to disperse peacefully. Protesters highly appreciated the prompt measures taken by the President to provide relief for them.
And meanwhile, Cabinet spokesman Minister Kehalia Rambukwella says today's Cabinet meeting has decided to engage in activity to bring the 20th Constitutional Amendment instead of the 19th Amendment. It has also been scheduled to present a supplementary estimate for the remaining period of this year. This was disclosed at the first media briefing to convey Cabinet decisions of the new government this afternoon. Cabinet spokesman Minister Kehalia Rambukwella told the press briefing that the new cabinet has approved the abolishment of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. The minister also said that Cabinet of Ministers has also granted approval to draft the 20th Amendment to the Constitution. At the same time, Minister confirmed that the components of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution which are beneficial to the country will remain. As an example, he mentioned that the Right to Information Act will also be included in the 20th Amendment.
ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන 2020 අවසාන කාර්තුව සම්බන්ධව කටයුතු කරන්නට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම 19 වෙනි සංශෝධනය සම්බන්ධව ඇති වෙලා තියෙන තත්ත්වයන් 19 වෙනි සංශෝධනය අහෝසි වෙන ආකාරයටත් ඒ වගේම 20 වෙනි සංශෝධනයේ වෙනුවට ගෙන අතර යම් යම් කරුණු 19 තිබ්බ උදාහරණයක් හැටියට ගත්තොත් තොරතුරු දැනගැනීමේ පනත එම නැත්නම් එය ඊගාව 20 වෙනි පනතට අතුල් කිරීමට කටයුතු කරන්නට කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලය තීන්දුව කරලා තියෙනවා. ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථා
Addressing the press conference, co-cabinet spokesman Minister Uday Gambanpilla said a cabinet subcommittee was also appointed today to draft the 20th Amendment. He said that the committee consists of ministers G.L. Pires, Nimal Siripal de Silva, Ali Sabri, Dinesh Gunawardena and himself. And Media Minister Kehalia Rambukwella has been appointed as the cabinet spokesman of the new government. He has held the same position in the year 2010 and 2015 under the Alliance government. Kehelia Ramukwella had received the highest number of preferential votes in the Kandy districts in the year 2000 while representing the United National Party. He had joined the United People's Freedom Alliance in 2007, giving strength to the government of Mahinda Rajapaksa, which had ended 30 years of terrorism. He was engaged in an exceptional service during the period of humanitarian operations by playing the role of defense spokesman of the government. He was able to unravel the true situation of the operation to the local and foreign media. Previously, he had functioned as Minister of Science and Technology, Foreign Employment Promotion and Mass Media as well. Kehelia Ramukwella had played a crucial role in an opposition MP to bring the present government into power. He has represented the parliament continuously for 20 years. A special feature of his political career has been to exceed the level of 100,000 preferential votes in the Kandy district in 6 parliamentary elections. Meanwhile, Minister Uday Gammanpilla and Ramesh Patrana have been appointed as co-cabinet spokesmen. Ramesh Patrana was elected to the parliament through the recently held general election by securing the highest number of preferential votes in the Galle district. He has functioned as co-cabinet spokesman after the 2019 presidential election as well. Minister Uday Gammanpilla has joined the cabinet for the first time. He has entertained the parliament representing the Colombo district and leader of the Pivitulu Hera Urumaya party. And meanwhile, the inauguration session of the new parliament is set to commence under the patronage of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa tomorrow. The ceremony, set to take place tomorrow in accordance to parliamentary traditions, will not feature vehicle parades or gun salutes. These new measures have been taken in accordance to a directive of the President. Accordingly, the inauguration ceremony of the parliament will be limited to a simple cultural pageant. This report has been complied by Chamal Virakadi of the National Television.
All preparations have been made to commence the inaugural session of the 9th Parliament tomorrow. Parliamentary seating arrangement is expected to be finalized to accommodate all 225 elected members of the incumbent Parliament. Prior to the ceremonial opening of the first session of the 9th Parliament, the first sitting of the Parliament will commence tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. to elect the Speaker in accordance with standing orders of the Parliament. All the new members of the Parliament will then take their official oaths before the new Speaker. This is followed by the appointment of a Deputy Speaker and a Deputy Chairperson of committees. The government's policy statement will be presented by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa at 3 p.m. The President will also ceremonially declare open the first session of the 9th Parliament. Arrangements have been made under the instructions of the President to hold the President's arrival to the parliamentary premises in a simple manner. Accordingly, there will be no gun salutes or vehicle parades. A cultural pageant will take place to greet the President. Meanwhile, 81 individuals are expected to take oaths as members of the Sri Lanka Parliament for the first time tomorrow, and 65 persons are representing the ruling party, Sri Lanka Potujana Peramuna. 10 female parliamentarians will be seated at the 9th Parliament as well. 87 parliamentarians of the new Parliament are below the age of 50. Parliamentarian Jeevan Thondaman is the youngest MP in the Parliament, while MPs Professor Tissa Vitarana, Vasudevan Anayakara and R. Sampanthan will be the most senior parliamentarians. The SLPP secured 145 seats in the Parliament, while the Samagi Jana Balawegaya will act as the main opposition after securing 54 MP posts at the recently concluded general election. Meanwhile, a representation of the United National Party will not feature in the Parliament for the first time in the independent Sri Lanka, as the party is yet to nominate a candidate for its vacant nationalist seat. Commencement of the new parliamentary session will live telecast on the national television tomorrow. For the national television, I'm Chamal Virakodi reporting from parliamentary premises.
Sergeant at Arms of Parliament Narendra Fernando says that the parliamentary session will be conducted under strict health guidelines in the face of COVID-19 pandemic. He made these comments during an exclusive interview with the national television.
Applies to Parliament as well, because now we are an institution, and initially we got the guidelines from the Health Ministry regard to our staff, how they should act, how they should report to Parliament, and how we should make arrangements within the officers, and how to keep the distance, so on and so forth, and especially the restaurants, what arrangements we should do, and according to the guidelines, we did our best. And we have taken maximum possible action to implement. But in current context, now the new group is coming after the general election, after a long layoff. So the Health Ministry, they have sent us some guidelines how the MPs should behave in Parliament, like what they should follow. Now, if I say one thing, they should permit us to measure their temperature. at the time of entry to the Parliament building. Then when they are entering the chamber, they should sanitize their hands. Then they should only sit on the allocated seat. They should not go here and there. Always, when they are not in the seat, they have been told to keep the 1 meter distance. And another special thing is that if they are addressing Parliament, they have to wear the mask and they have to address. And also there's another guideline say that as far as possible to use your private equipment. With regard to the entry to the chamber, those are the guidelines given by the Health Ministry. Then with regard to the gallery, we have been asked to keep the distance. Now we have 674 seats in the 4 galleries, but in this instance we only can accommodate up to 300 or maximum 320. So because of that, I had to restrict the issue of passes. That's 1 pass per member of Parliament. Those are the conditions apply at this particular moment. At the moment, we have not opened the gallery for the public. We have temporarily suspended, and in time to come, we'll have to consult the health authorities and should be able to allow the public to visit Parliament as what we did previously. So at the moment, there is no arrangement to allow public to visit Parliament.
He also made these remarks over the allocation of seats in the new Parliament.
When doing the seating, now in this present Parliament, there are 15 political parties. The main party has obtained 145 seats. And we have been informed that there are 5 or 6 other parties, or members rather, they are going to support the government. So in such case, there will be around 150 to 151 members with the government. But in our Parliament, the government side has only 116 seats. Like in the opposition side, we have 232. We have little more than what we are required. But on one side, we can only accommodate 116. Due to that reason, I will have to allocate seats for about 30 to 35 members on the backbenchers of the opposition side. So that is the challenge we have. And with regard to the seating, that is on the right hand side of the Honourable Speaker's chair, we allocate for the government, and the front 8th seat is reserved for HE, the President. Then the 7th seat is for the Prime Minister. Then 6th seat is for the Leader of the House. 5th seat is for the Chief Government Whip. And on the left hand side, the 8th seat, front 8th seat, is for the Leader of the Opposition. And after this Deputy Speaker and Deputy Chairman of committees get elected, they will be allocated seats. If you had got elected from the government benches, that we will allocate the number 21 seat for the Deputy Speaker and 41 number for the Deputy Chairman. So likewise, even if he comes from the opposition, it's the same. So those are the criteria we follow when arranging the seating.
And all arrangements are being made for the opening of the 9th Parliament of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka tomorrow. Today's feature of our news bulletin focuses on the 7th and 8th Parliaments of Sri Lanka. A parliamentary election had taken place on the 8th of April 2010. This poll was conducted within a period of around 1 year since the conclusion of the 30-year-old war under the leadership of Mahinda Rajapaksa. The United People's Freedom Alliance had been able to secure an exceptional victory at the election by making use of peaceful environment that had prevailed in the country. The UPFA had been successful in granting the highest number of seats, amounting to 144, which was the largest number of MP portfolios recorded at that time through the proportional representative election system. The main opposition, the United National Party, had managed to obtain only 60 seats. The Democratic National Alliance, headed by Janatha Vimukti Peramuna, had received 8 seats. A two-third majority was able to be secured by the ruling party through the support of several groups. The Prime Minister of the government was D.M. Jayaratne. Chamal Rajapaksa was appointed as the Speaker. A massive development had taken place in the country during the period of administration. A remarkable growth in the infrastructure facilities such as highways, main roads and gigantic bridges was witnessed. The 18th Constitutional Amendment also passed during this period. With the defeat of Mahinda Rajapaksa at the presidential election in 2015, Maithripala Sirisena was elected to the post of president. He had appointed Ranil Wickremesinghe on the UNP, who proposed a minority power in parliament, as the prime minister. Nimal Suripal de Silva had functioned as the opposition leader. A special issue that came into the limelight thereafter was the 19th constitutional amendment. Charges had been levelled stating that this constitutional amendment has created confusion between the executive, legislature and judiciary. The 7th Parliament was dissolved on the 26th of June 2015. The parliamentary election was held on the 17th of August 2015. The United National Front was able to secure 106 MP posts. The United People's Freedom Alliance, which had contested under the election amidst many challenges, had received 95 seats. However, the Sri Lankan Freedom Party, under the leadership of Maithripala Sirisena, had formed a national government with Ranil Wickremesinghe as the Prime Minister. Speaker of the Parliament was Karu Jayasuriya. R. Sambandhan had become the opposition leader. However, as a result of struggle unleashed by a majority group in the opposition, Mahinda Rajapaksa was able to become the leader of the opposition. The 8th Parliament had to confront many chaotic situations. Many have criticized the Parliament as a parliament of distorted nature of democracy. This Parliament was dissolved on the 2nd of March this year, with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa assuming duties in the post of presidency.
A meeting of government parliamentarians was held at the President's office this evening. It was presided over by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The meeting was dealt with the task of parliamentary proceedings scheduled for tomorrow. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa was also present on this occasion. After the meeting, Minister provided information to media regarding the discussions took place. They said ministers discussed the appointment of Speaker, Deputy Speaker and Deputy Chairman of the committees at the inaugural session of the new Parliament tomorrow. They also said that all the MPs were advised to not to be absent from parliamentary sessions. At the same time, there were discussions to conduct training sessions for new parliamentarians regarding the parliamentary proceedings.
And meanwhile, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has instructed officials to plant in a creative manner the future progress of the local industries. He made these remarks at a discussion held at the President's office yesterday regarding the future program of the State Ministry of Cane, Brassware, Clay, Furniture and Rural Industries. The President has also pointed out on this occasion that the drafting of incentive legislation pertaining to traditional industries had paved the way not only for the downfall of these industries but also the lives of local industrialists as well. Lives of those legally engaged in such industries should not be jeopardized as a result of a minority who engage in wrongful acts. The President has stressed that it is imperative for the officials to be innovative in order to develop the local industry. Major attention should be focused on problems on this ground level. He further said that it is an essential factor to conduct follow-up studies in order to find whether decisions taken by the government are being properly implemented in the ground level. Traditional industries which have not been subjected to proper attention on long-term basis should be developed according to a plan. The state ministerial structure has been prepared, focusing special attention on each of the respective fields. He has also said that it has become extremely clear to him during his island-wide tour in the election period that traditional industrialists were a disregarded lot. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has further pointed out constantly review short-term and long-term plans being implemented to uplift the local industries. Measures will be taken to look into the problems faced by industrialists in the procurement and transportation of clay, as well as recommencement of activities in clay-related industries. Children should be provided an understanding on the importance of traditional industries since their school days. Traditional industries is an appropriate topic for dissertation on research project of university students. The President was the view that such a situation could extend a massive contribution for the well-being of the indigenous industries. He has also pointed out the need for a proper coordination between the provincial ministries and the land ministries to uplift local industries. The President has also mentioned on the importance of attracting the younger generation to the traditional industries. It is a responsibility of the ministries in charge to give a professional value for traditional industries. Martial lands which have no agricultural value could be used for industrial sectors such as cake. The country spends a substantial amount of foreign exchange annually to import essential ingredients used in the production of incense sticks. The President has instructed the Industrial Development Board to locally manufacture such items and to save massive amounts of money being sent overseas. Minister of Industries Vimal Veeravansh, State Minister Prasanna Ranavira, President Secretary P.B. Jayasundara and Secretary to the Ministry of Finance S.R. Artigala have also attended the discussion.
A committee has been appointed to study and present recommendations on the instances of irregularities in which 4 main state banks were acting in contrary to the productive functioning and objectives in the past 5 years. Chairman of the committee is retired High Court Judge Sisira Ratnayaka. Other members are Chartered Accountant Susantha De Silva and retired Additional Auditor General W. Premananda. A representative of the Ministry of Finance is functioning as Secretary of the committee. The relevant report with recommendations should be submitted to the Cabinet by the Secretary to the Ministry of Finance within 3 months. The Ministry of Finance says that the Cabinet has granted approval to a paper presented by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa in his capacity as the Ministry of Finance to streamline and make efficient and state banking system in order to strengthen the national economy. We move in for a short commercial break. We'll be back with more local stories. Do stay with us.
Welcome back with more local stories. Veteran mediaman Rohan Valavita has been appointed as the Media Secretary of the Prime Minister. He has received his letter of appointment from Prime Minister's Secretary Gamini Senarath yesterday. Rohan Valavita has extended his contribution to the initial production team of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. He has also functioned as the Program Management and Director of the News of the Independent Television as well. He was appointed as the Media Advisor of Mahinda Rajapaksa in the year 2000. He was the Media Secretary to Mahinda Rajapaksa even during the period when he was functioning as the leader of the opposition. Rohan Valavita was again appointed as Media Secretary of the Prime Minister in 2004. He has also acted as Presidential Coordinating Secretary from 2005 to 2015. Rohan Valavita has also functioned as Teledrama Director and author. He is an old boy of Dharmapala College, Panipitiya. And now let's move on to the local update of the COVID-19 pandemic. The number of those fully recovered from the COVID-19 disease has increased to 2,760. Only 131 patients are continuously receiving treatments. 629 patients have been identified at the Kandakadu Treatment and Rehabilitation Centre. Out of this number, 567 patients have been fully recovered. As a percentage, this amounts to 90.14. Only 62 patients remain at this centre. The number of those fully recovered from the COVID-19 disease has increased to 2,760. As a percentage, it is 95.10. Only 4.51% of patients are continuously receiving treatments. 1,020 PCR tests were conducted yesterday. So far, 191,507 PCR tests have been conducted. A group of 417 Sri Lankans stranded in foreign countries unable to return was brought back to the country from London today. Meanwhile, another group of 13 Sri Lankans was returned to the country this morning from Dubai. Another group of 394 have come from Doha, Qatar. The groups were directed to PCR test before sending them to quarantine centres. A group comprising State Minister Sitharam Vipula and Dr. Manju Gunawardhan of the Sri Lanka Nanotechnology Institute has briefed Health Minister Pavitra Vanniyarachchi on a new methodology to conduct PCR test at low cost and within a short period of time. The cost is to be reduced by 50% and the result could be provided within 1.5 hours. Dr. Gunawardhan said that 90 PCR tests could be conducted at once. He also told the Health Ministry that this would enable to conduct PCR tests rapidly to a large number of passengers who arrive in the island and the opening of the airports. Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Major General Sanjeeva Bunasinghe, was also present. Minister of Education has decided to reopen government schools and government-approved private schools that have been given a vacation as a result of the COVID-19 expansion. It has been instructed to reopen all grades in schools by adhering to the instructions given by Health Ministry, even when the total number of students in schools exceed 200.
On to some corona updates around the world in brief. Pope Francis had said the world's poorest people must have access to a coronavirus vaccine if one becomes available. The Pope questioned during his general audience that how sad it would be if access to a COVID-19 vaccine was made a priority for the richest. It would be sad if the vaccine became property of such and such nation and not universal for everyone, he said. The pontiff also said that the pandemic had uncovered the plight of the poor and the great inequality that reigns in the world. that no one hand it's imperative to find a cure for a small but terrible virus which is bringing the whole world to its knees. The Pope also said that the world must cure a great virus that is social injustice, inequality of opportunity, marginalization and lack of protection for the weakest.
And moving to South Korea, Muslims, museums, rather nightclubs and karaoke bars have been closed in and around South Korea's capital Seoul as COVID-19 cases reach a 5-month high. The country reported another 297 new cases today. The highest daily figure since March. South Korea is viewed as one of the world's coronavirus success stories for its management of the disease.
Concerns for South Korea's capital, Seoul, intensified on Wednesday as coronavirus infections increased by triple digits for the 6th straight day. At least 297 new cases were reported, the highest daily rise since early March. The majority are related to the Sarangjil Church, which officials worry could lead to broader outbreaks. Some members of the church, which is run by a radical conservative preacher, are reluctant to come forward and get tested or to self-isolate, officials have said. Here's the country's Vice Minister of Health and Welfare, Kim Kang-lip.
We also see the spread of infections at related churches and workplaces in the capital area and various other regions.
South Korea has been widely praised for its efforts in tracking outbreaks, with Seoul's 25 million inhabitants only suffering localized clusters so far. The government ordered the closure of nightclubs, karaoke bars and buffets earlier this week, as well as banning all in-person church services. Indoor and outdoor gatherings are also restricted to no more than 50 and 100 people, respectively.
And now moving on to the update about the PASCO Commission. It has been disclosed today that former President Maithripala Sirisena had visited the mosque where the suicide bomber of the Zion Church of Batticaloa had stayed prior to the Easter Sunday attack. It has also been disclosed that the Director of the State Intelligence Service, Nilantha Jayawardena, was unaware of this visit. Senior DID Nilantha Jayawardena has given evidence for the 14th day before the Presidential Investigation Commission inquiring into the Easter Sunday attack. In addition, the Solicitor General has questioned whether former President Maithripala Sirisena was informed by the 10th of April regarding foreign intelligence information received on the 4th of April. Nilantha Jayawardena, responding to the queries, said that such a briefing had not taken place. At this instance, the Additional Solicitor General has inquired once again whether the State Intelligence Service has looked into the conditions of the location of Batticaloa where the former President was scheduled to attend a ceremony on the 12th of April last year. Nilantha Jayawardena had replied that he has dispatched a group and searched the area, but there was no question relating to security. At this instance, the Additional Solicitor General has focused the attention of the Presidential Commission to the place where the former President Maithripala Sirisena had attended the ceremony on the 12th of April last year was the Weber Stadium in Batticaloa. It has also been pointed out that 2 Christian churches and a mosque are located nearby. The Additional Solicitor General, presenting a Google map to the Commission, said that bomber of the Zion Church in Batticaloa had remained at the mosque near the Weber Stadium prior to launching the attack. Upon this revelation, the Additional Solicitor General had inquired Nilantha Jayawardena whether he was aware that the bomber had stayed at the mosque. Nilantha Jayawardena replied that he was not aware of such a fact until the moment he was interrogated. The witness further said that he was briefed over President going abroad the day after he attended the ceremony in Batticaloa. On this instance, the Additional Solicitor General has inquired whether there was any such amicable relationship between former President Maithripala Sirisena and the witness, who was also the Director of the State Intelligence Service, strong enough to convey such information. Nilantha Jayawardena further said that such a close relationship had existed between himself and former President Maithripala Sirisena until several days after the Easter Sunday attack, but there had been influences against such a relationship. Upon further interrogations, it has also been revealed that intelligence evaluation meeting scheduled to be conducted on the 16th of April prior to the Easter attack was cancelled. Nilan Jayawardena, giving further evidence, said that only 4 such intelligence evaluation meetings were conducted between November 2018 and March 2019. One such meeting was conducted in November 2018 and another meeting in February 2019. He further said that 2 meetings presided over by National Intelligence Chiefs were held and another intelligence evaluation meeting in March 2009.
On more local stories, a sub-inspector attached to Special Task Force have been arrested on charges of drug trafficking by the CID. He was arrested after the operations carried out following information revealed by statements recorded yesterday and day before. The suspect has been inquired thoroughly on incidents including engagement in mass-scale drug smuggling with organized criminal, maintaining connection with officials who are currently under arrest over transportation and strong weapon, providing security for them and smuggling weapon. The suspect have been actively engaged in heroin raids conducting and the CID have investigated in this regard. The suspect have been attached to the Mana Special Task Force camp, serving as the officer in charge with regard of intelligence and special tasks. The suspect is a resident of Veragolla, Puakpitiya. It have been revealed that the incident of arrest 294 kilograms of heroin in car park and a supermarket in Kolpiti on February 2019 by the suspect was reported to be hoax carried out by the arrest suspect and the drug smugglers. The suspect was arrested over act of prevention of terrorism and is currently being detained for interrogations. Coming up next is international news.